up, everybody? Welcome back to the Jujutsu Kaisen Manga Lounge. Today we've got chapter 114, Shibuya Incident Part 32. So last week we left off with the crazy fight between Toji and Megumi and that kind of crazy ending, but today we move on. It is another week and the show has to go on. I want to say thank you for everyone out there to spreading that positive juju with a like and a comment week in, week out. Thank you very much. It helps me out a lot. But anyways, this week let's get right into it. Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 114. So we're kind of left off now. Toji has changed back to the remember the grandchild with the kind of the mohawk. So kind of a bleak look here, and clearly Megumi is still just as confused as ever. He kind of has these little moments where he remembers Naobito saying Toji, and you know, he sees Toji saying good for you, and he's kind of trying to piece things together. He's a smart guy, so maybe he definitely is kind of down on that path, saying, I wonder I wonder if that's Poppy. We move on to page 2 here, and clearly he's not doing so hot, and like he said, his kind of advantage is the fact that he knows Shoko is around, and if he gets to her, then you know she can patch something like that up maybe relatively quickly. But that's also kind of a risky move too, right? You never know what's going on with Shoko, but she is with Yaga Sensei, so have a feeling that she'll be okay. But then he starts kind of getting conflicted here, saying, no, I need to go check on Maki and them, but we know what's going on with them. Then a little bit of a surprise panel here, with a little, you kind of see this page only, and you're like, whoa, what's going on? And then Mr. Ponytail is back. We still don't know a name for this guy. And it's a little funny detail here. When I did chapter 100, I did talk about this a little bit on my Twitter page, talking about his little marks that he has on his cheek and how it's like an HP meter. If you're a video game fan, the whole idea of like, or Zelda, you have the hearts. The theory right now, something that I noticed is that each time Nanami, remember going ham on him, each time he kind of delivered a deadly blow, one of his little marks went empty, almost like an HP bar. And in chapter 100, the final blow, we could see when he was apologizing to Nanami, saying, I'm sorry, he still had 3 marks, so maybe Nanami's final punch was enough to knock out 3 hearts worth of HP, because we see here he's most like, we don't get a good look at the other side of the cheek, but if it's still the same as when in chapter 100, he's empty. He's empty on his face now, so maybe he's kind of on his last life, so to speak, right? Because he was talking about in chapter 100 saying, if I didn't have my curse technique, I would have been dead by now. So it's a pretty strong evidence for the fact that he's got kind of this like, cat's 9 lives kind of thing. And who knows, perhaps it's not just here. Maybe he's got more elsewhere. But if it is just here, perhaps he is kind of running on empty here. And any deadly blow after this might be the last one for him. So, but anyway, I know I'm talking about this, but it's definitely kind of worrying what's going on with Megumi now. Hopefully someone is around to help him out, but everyone's kind of got to take care of themselves right now, so it's a little hard to think who might be there to help him. Maybe someone like Toge Inumaki, maybe, I don't know. Then we move on to page 4, and then Finally, we get to see Kusakabe and Panda. Kusakabe Sensei, and Panda. It's been a while. It's been like, 30 chapters worth? Remember, we kind of got a glimpse of them as part of the Panda and Kusakabe Sensei group at the very beginning of the Shibuya arc, and all these months later, we finally get a look at what's going on with them. And Panda kind of comments saying, hey, so do we need to keep on looking around? Like, we better get to Gojo and this and that. And then Kusakabe Sensei, he's such a character. He's got to be, he's quickly shooting up in terms of my favorite characters, because just he's such a, you know, it's funny because, you know, you don't really get characters like this in Jujutsu Kaisen who are very, on the hero side anyways, who are very, you know, like, oh, I don't know if I want to get in trouble and this and that. It's like, I'll let you guys take care of it. So it's kind of refreshing, right? But he's clearly very strong. Mei Mei even commented when she was talking to Yuji that Yuji might only be second in line in terms of sorcerers who don't actually use cursed energy, that she's only second in line behind Kusakabe Sensei. So we definitely know that he's got the goods. And we, you know, as we move on in the chapter, we kind of found out a little bit more about him. But I love how he's just this banter between him and Panda, and obviously Panda's so great too, and he's just so innocent, and he's just trying to help. And Kusakabe is just such a, what a role model, right? But he's you know, he's saying, I gotta buy as much time as possible. These excuses are starting to run out. And then I love this where he's just saying, I gotta buy some more time because I don't want to die. And then even after that, you know, he's saying to on page 6, Panda might end up going to be basement 5 by himself, but I won't let him go alone because I need him here with me. It's so funny. So he's a very kind of refreshing character, to be honest, and a little bit of comedy in a very tense situation right now, but obviously reality hits pretty quickly. And then we get these two mysterious characters here now. Those who you know, aren't very familiar with Volume 0, although, you know, we know that Volume 0 is coming out in English now, so that's good news. But even if you do have read Volume 0, we really don't know too much about these characters. So to be honest, those who have read Volume 0 are pretty much in the same boat. But we do know that they are part of kind of Geto's group or Geto's family, right? Along with Nanako, Mimiko, and kind of this mysterious guy with the 2 hearts on his chest and all that, who seems to be very, very intimidating, very strong, very kind heart, but very strong, because everyone kind of goes really quiet as soon as he starts saying, hey, you better knock it off. But definitely this guy with the bandages kind of on his face, or looks like maybe he's covering his right eye with a bandage. He's very I don't know if practical is the right word, but very kind of straightforward. He's like, look, Geto's gone probably. And he does comment that he doesn't know, that they don't know who the identity is. So, you know, I remember as I was kind of translating, my heart was kind of going, well, I wonder if they're going to reveal something. But everyone seems to, the fake Geto right now, like no one knows what's going on with him. Maybe besides the curse users like Mahito and stuff, perhaps. But yeah, he's saying that, you know, like, we can't worry about getting Geto's body back and this and that. Like, we just have to try to kind of follow his will, inherit his will, right? But yeah, so I mean, we don't get really too much info here. These kind of moments are nice because, you know, you always think that they're just like straight antagonists, and they are. They're trying to wipe out humanity, right? But obviously there are these kind of little moments in what they say where you kind of almost sympathize with them a little bit, right? And that's by design a very, very good element for antagonists, where you almost can kind of say, I can kind of see that, right? Instead of just saying, well, this guy is nutso. It's a lot more kind of compelling characters. But then we kind of flash forward again, back to the present, and again, I love Kusakabe Sensei. He's just like, damn, your story's too short, man. And then Panda with his little quip saying, I'm a panda, so I guess I don't really count in this whole wiping out humanity thing then. But then on panel 3 on page 14, he comments, a group led by sorcerers of this level. And in case this was unclear, he's commenting that they're not really of like super high level. They're probably strong, but like he can sense that he can take care of them if he needs to. Which is why if he follows it up by saying, this is great, I'm just going to buy some time here and this and that. And then the sword comes out. Like, where was that sword this whole time? Maybe he had it in his pocket or something, I don't know. But and then the toothpick, and even Panda's like, oh, here we go. And then we see Kusakabe Sensei using new shadow style. This is the same thing as we've seen with Ui Ui, as well as, of course, Miwa Kasumi. But even though it is new shadow style, it's a different technique here we see called Evening Moon sword drawing. The one that Kasumi used against Yuji, or she tried to use against Yuji anyways, was Bato sword drawing. So from what we see here with Evening Moon sword drawing, we don't really know what the difference is, but perhaps he can use a simple domain and stuff as well. But then here we go. Things getting crazy again. All of a sudden we see the guy with the bandages getting his hand up as though he's going to use some sort of technique. And then all of a sudden the fing in the background, and then boom, man. And then we hear the laugh, and then we know what's going on. Sukuna and Gojo, not Sukuna and Gojo. Sorry, Sukuna and Jogo. It starts, but Jogo's looking like he's not, he's met his match, so to speak. And this is what's so great. It was a setup, right? It was a setup in terms of what I mean, not a setup like a trap setup, but in the last few chapters, we got this elevation of power levels, right? We got this idea of, Nanami and them fighting Dagon, and then, they were completely outmatched by Dagon. And then Toji comes around and shows where his level's at, but then Toji, goes away with Megumi. But then the great thing is we immediately see Jogo fighting Nanami and Naobito and them, completely outclassing them. And now we have Sukuna completely outclassing Jogo. So it was this kind of progression over the last few chapters to kind of remind the reader, to kind of give an idea to the reader, like, where Sukuna is at in this whole level, right? Because if Sukuna were to just come by and maybe fight Jogo before Jogo had taken care of business with Naobito and Nanami, the kind of level of where Sukuna is at wouldn't be perhaps as evident. So as much as I didn't want to see Nanami and Maki and Naobito and them getting their ass kicked, perhaps it was necessary to kind of show Sukuna is just on a completely different tier, and it's like, what are we going to do now? And that's definitely the feeling that we're supposed to have kind of reading this chapter. It's like, well, what are we going to do about Sukuna? Like, who's going to take care of him and this and that? So, brings up a lot of questions. Some questions answered and more questions brought up. That's the great thing about the storytelling and with what's going on with Shibuya arc here. So it's pretty awesome. But that is chapter 114. Thank you very much for coming by. Man, I forgot to introduce my drink again this week, but it's just water, good old-fashioned H2O. So but yeah, hey, thank you very much again for spreading that positive juju, leaving a like if you choose to do so. I appreciate it. Cheers to you. You know how we do. Alright, mata yoroshiku.